Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB podcast, and today is the 3rd of August 2026. And so far as the price of Bitcoin on the global cryptocurrency market is concerned, not much is happening, to be completely honest. But since the last 24 hours Satoshi, the prices of Bitcoin on the global cryptocurrency market has picked up pace. But here's the thing, guys. Since the last trading day, which is on Friday, we are seeing significant amount of outflows in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the prices are reacting over the next few days. Now, the first news, Satoshi, we're going to be talking about is regarding an update regarding US and Iran conflict and President Donald Trump. He did post something really important via Truth Social, and according to the post, looks like the United States of America, they have decided to agree to pause a potential military strike on Iran. Now, this particular news for a short term definitely sounds promising, but it's going to be really interesting to see if the matter escalates between Iran and US, isn't it? But in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss what kind of an impact will have on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I thought, Satoshi, in today's episode, we'll also go ahead and discuss what are the key dates we should be looking at. We do have voting regarding Clarity Act. Then we also have the CPI data. And towards the end of this month, there's also going to be a Jackson Hole speech. Now, all of these news directly and indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it, Satoshi?
Yes, George. It's been interesting to watch the recent price movements. And you're right. Those key dates, the Clarity Act vote, the CPI data, and the Jackson Hole speech are definitely things to keep an eye on. We'll be breaking those down in more detail later on.
We definitely will, Satoshi. Thank you so much for that. Now, the second news, Satoshi, is also connected to Iran. And this is connected to Straits of Hormuz. And looks like Iran, Satoshi, they were notoriously trying to use Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in order to evade sanctions. And the United Treasury of Department, they have put out some really strong information regarding this. So in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss what is the new action taken by the US Department of Treasury. And mind you guys, this is connected to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, the third news, Satoshi, we're going to be talking about is connected to Jack Dorsey, who according to me was a former censorship king, isn't it? But now looks like he's learned his lessons and now he's launching a new platform. And this new platform is called his Buzz. And what he wants to do is, Satoshi, he wants to start a decentralized group chat platform. Really ironic, isn't it? Considering the fact that the platform that he did actually start called as Twitter was actually banning people outright, and they were doing that only for political reasons, isn't it?
Yes, George. On that first point, the way Iran has been using cryptocurrencies to bypass sanctions and the strong stance the US Treasury is taking highlights the growing regulatory concerns around this. And regarding Jack Dorsey, launching a decentralized group chat platform does seem quite different from his past approach, like you mentioned. We can delve into more details about that later. What's next for us to cover?
The final news, Satoshi, that we're going to be discussing is connected to Kalshi and their prediction market, isn't it? And it looks like the Democrat state of New York, they're heading towards a communist direction. And unfortunately, Satoshi, the news is not looking good for Kalshi and the state of New York. They have decided to sue Kalshi and the governor as well as the attorney general. We know they are not fans of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well, but in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss what this new drama is all about. And roughly around a few months ago, Satoshi, President Donald Trump clearly stated that when it comes to regulations, CFTC should be the ones handling it. And according to me, that is definitely the right approach. But looks like the state of New York, they're definitely taking a communist approach, isn't it? So in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss what this news is all about. So it looks like, Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But like we do in every Blockchain DXB podcast, we will be looking at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Do you want to tell our listeners what are the two news you're going to be discussing later on in today's episode?
That's absolutely correct, George. We do have interesting news from the Middle East, and both of these news items are from the Emirate of Dubai. First, the RTA is deploying AI to enhance real-time bus operations and efficiency. And second, the Dubai Government Human Resources Department has launched the Government Chief Talent Officer program. We'll be getting into more details about these later.
So looks like, Satoshi, we've got a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. And before we go ahead and do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana. And they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look, guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mega giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what, guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now for the Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, If you want to go and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, choose your preferred asset category, and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even crypto wallets. No friction and no hassles. And the best part is guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Amana for this, because they offer 24/6 human customer service, as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the Blockchain DXB listener and community guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Amana using the code Blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part guys, once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Amana for you. So what are you waiting for guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code Blockchain DXB. And Amana guys is all markets one app. Next guys, I'm happy to announce that Blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Because for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right guys, palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas, and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock guys is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you Blockchain DXB listeners guys, we have something really interesting for you, because you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount. And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025, as well as ETH Women. And look guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life, so don't just read about it, be there and head to the website that is futuristconference.com, and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media guys is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gulf Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you're taking care of that, let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's quickly run to the global cryptocurrency market. Now unfortunately guys, the global cryptocurrency market is only at $2.24 trillion. And what I'm really not liking, Satoshi, is the 24-hour volume. It is only at $38 billion. And look Satoshi, in 2026, the 24-hour volume has been consistently low, isn't it? Now according to me, the reason is pretty simple. A lot of the investments is actually flowing into artificial intelligence, isn't it? So do you want to tell our listeners what percentage of the investment flowing into artificial intelligence is having a direct impact on the 24-hour volume of cryptocurrencies?
You're right, George. There's a lot of investment flowing into artificial intelligence. It is extremely difficult to go and give the right information, but because of investment flowing into artificial intelligence, I would say at least 40 to 60% of this is impacting the cryptocurrency market volume.
Well, you're probably right, Satoshi, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the prices of Bitcoin on the global cryptocurrency market will be reacting. And along with that, Satoshi, am I right in saying there are also many other factors such as market sentiment, regulatory news, macroeconomic trends, and the geopolitical chaos that is going on between Iran and US. All of these things directly as well as indirectly do actually impact the 24-hour volume of cryptocurrencies, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, George. It's not just AI. Sentiment, regulations, and global events are key drivers of volatility. Those factors interact in complex ways, making it hard to isolate one single cause. It really requires a multifaceted approach to understand.
It definitely does, Satoshi, and in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we'll look out and explain all of these metrics to our listeners. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go back to running through the global cryptocurrency market. Now here's the thing guys, unfortunately the volume of decentralized exchange isn't looking that great. It is below the $5 billion mark, only at $4.47 billion. And if you look at the total fees connected for these transactions, it is only at $52.01 million. And here's the thing guys, in 2026, the total value locked, I don't think so, has crossed the $80 billion mark. Since the last 24 hours, it is only at $73.97 billion. And one matrix which I personally keep an eye on is the decentralized to centralized exchange ratio, because it tells us what percentage of people are using decentralized exchanges, isn't it? And unfortunately guys, the matrix is only at 30.37%, and it is also important to note, out of this 30.37%, there is a very high possibility that a lot of centralized exchanges are using decentralized exchanges as well, and that alone may be accounting to 15 to 20%. Now what has happened since the last trading day, which I believe was on Friday, Satoshi? We are seeing a lot of outflows in the world of crypto ETFs, and that is accounting to $258.2 million. Now could it be possible because of President Donald Trump signaling a pause of attack to Iran? The investor sentiment could change, and could it be possible once again we might be seeing inflows in the world of crypto ETFs? What is your thoughts regarding this, Satoshi?
Yes, George. Those metrics are definitely painting a picture. The volume being below the $5 billion mark and the modest fees point to subdued activity. And that DEX to SEX ratio highlights the continued dominance of centralized exchanges. Regarding your ETF point, it's certainly possible that the geopolitical developments, like Trump signaling a pause in tensions, could stabilize investor confidence and potentially trigger inflows into crypto ETFs, especially if it's seen as a reduction in market risk. It often doesn't take much for sentiment to shift around those kinds of events.
Now what I want you to do next, Satoshi, is I want you to tell our listeners what is going on in the world of decentralized exchanges. So why don't you tell our listeners the matrix of the top 5 platform, please?
When it comes to the top 5 decentralized exchange platforms right now, Uniswap is leading with $1 billion in 24-hour volume. They're followed by Pump at roughly $642 million and PancakeSwap at about $635 million. Native is in fourth with $462 million, and Aerodrome rounds out the top 5 with approximately $297 million. That's the current landscape.
And here's the thing, since the last 24 hours, the volume of stablecoins is in picking up pace. Tether USDT's volume is down to $33.22 billion. Circle USDC is at number 2nd, but unfortunately the volume is well below the $5 billion mark. It is only at $3.97 billion. And FDUSD guys is at number 3rd, with a 24-hour volume way below the $500 million mark. It is only at $350.15 million. Now what I want you to do next, Satoshi, is I want you to read out the market cap, tell our listeners what is going on regarding the 24-hour volume of Bitcoin as well as its dominance, and do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Regarding the market caps and volumes, Bitcoin's market cap is at $1.27 trillion, with trading volume at about $14.96 billion, and a dominance of 56.70%. For Ethereum, the market cap is roughly $226 billion, with trading volume at $0.54 billion, and a dominance of 10.10%. Finally, Binance BNB has a market cap of about $78.37 billion, with trading volume of approximately $973.61 million. That's the breakdown.
Now look, Satoshi, in every Blockchain DXB podcast, we tend to look at one new matrix. Today what I want you to do is, I want you to go through some matrix that is connected to AI coins, artificial intelligence coins. But before that, Satoshi, why don't you tell our listeners what is an artificial intelligence coin, what are the benefits of it, as well as some of the negatives of it, and then let's go and share some really specific numbers regarding some of them, okay?
An artificial intelligence coin, or AI coin, is essentially a cryptocurrency that integrates AI technology into its platform or project. This can offer benefits like enhanced security, automation of complex tasks, or better predictive analytics. However, the downsides can include complexity, potential technical hurdles, or sometimes higher market volatility depending on how speculative the project is. Focusing on AI coins, the total market cap for top AI coins today is $21.4 billion, which reflects a 1.8% change in the last 24 hours. Breaking that down, Chainlink has a market cap of $6.21 billion, Near Protocol is at $2.21 billion, and BitTensor is $1.84 billion. Rounding out the top 5, Straight Tau Root is at $1.17 billion, and Internet Computer is at $1.15 billion.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Now let's do one thing. Let's tell our listeners what is going on regarding the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. Because since the last 24 hours, it has marginally picked up pace, isn't it? As a matter of fact, Satoshi, why don't you tell our listeners the price of Bitcoin, what is going on since the last 24 hours in 7 days, and do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Bitcoin's price is currently $63,294, George, which is a slight pickup of 0.10% in the last day, and up 1.21% over the last week. For Ethereum, the price is at $1,875, showing a gain of 2.12% in 24 hours, but it's still down about 1.95% for the week. And Binance BNB is trading at $588, with a 24-hour gain of 1.99% and a solid weekly increase of 2.78%, George.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. And here's the thing, guys, if you look at the fear and greed index, right now it is still at fear, but the number associated is 35. Now, am I right in saying, Satoshi, because of geopolitical tensions, the investor sentiment will be impacted, and that will directly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well, isn't it?
Yes, George, that's completely correct. When the fear and greed index is leaning toward fear, like with that 35 reading, it shows investors are hesitant and risk-averse. Geopolitical uncertainties can definitely fuel that sentiment, causing people to pull back from assets like Bitcoin, which can directly impact the price. It's a clear reflection of market psychology reacting to outside pressures.
And talking about geopolitics, Satoshi, President Donald Trump did actually post something really important via Truth Social, and what he actually said is based on his conversation with leaders from the Middle East. The United States of America has agreed to pause a potential military strike on Iran, and this is only because he received several requests to allow negotiations to proceed. And he also said, guys, that the proposed deal now includes reopening the Straits of Hormuz and also completely ending Iran's nuclear threat. And so far as Israel is concerned, Satoshi, they will also be supporting the pause while talks are continuing. Now, am I right in saying, Satoshi, news such as this is definitely a positive sign? Now, do you want to tell our listeners, based on this announcement, how do you think the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will be impacted? And also, why don't you tell our listeners the reason why the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will be impacted because of peace in the Middle East region?
That announcement does seem like a positive development, George. When tensions ease in a critical region, investors can feel more optimistic about the global economy, leading them to put more money into assets like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. A more stable Middle East also reduces worries about disruptions to energy supplies or trade, which also boost confidence across the board. It's essentially calmer conditions lessening the overall perceived risk of participating in the market.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how the prices are going to be reacting over the next few days. And what I'd really urge you guys to do is make sure you go and only look at official information regarding Iran and US conflict. Now, in the Blockchain DXB podcast, Satoshi will definitely go ahead and update our listeners regarding that. Now, what I want to do quickly next is I want to run through some dates that are really important in the month of August. The first and probably the most important one, Satoshi, is on the 7th and 10th of August. And this is the Senate voting deadline regarding Clarity Act, isn't it? Do you want to very briefly tell our listeners what the Clarity Act is and why is it so significant for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
The Clarity Act, George, aims to bring more clarity to how cryptocurrencies are regulated. It could protect end users by setting clearer rules and potentially affect the price of Bitcoin and other altcoins by increasing market confidence. Also, remember that on the 7th and 10th of this month, there are crucial Senate voting deadlines coming up that could influence things.
Absolutely correct, Satoshi. That is exactly what we talked about earlier on, isn't it? So what I'd really urge our listeners to do is definitely keep an eye on the voting deadline regarding Clarity Act. And this takes place on the 7th and 10th of this month. And along with that, Satoshi, on the 12th of this month, there's CPI data or the inflation data. And am I right in saying because of Straits of Hormuz, the inflation data will be impacted once again?
That's a good point, George. The CPI data coming on the 12th could definitely cause more volatility, especially with current market conditions. If the inflation numbers come in higher than expected, it could put pressure on all assets, including Bitcoin. People will be watching closely.
Now, along with that, Satoshi, probably the most important event that is scheduled to take place is later on in this month. And this is the Jackson Hole speech and the new Federal Reserve Board chair, that is Kevin Walsh. He will be the one who will be addressing the banking industry, massive financial institutions, isn't it? So do you want to tell our listeners why Jackson Hole's speech is so important? And are there any specific things you should be looking at, particularly that Kevin Walsh should be saying in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
The Jackson Hole speech is critical, George, because it often signals future Federal Reserve policy. With Kevin Walsh as the new chair, any comments on inflation or interest rates could directly impact the economy, influencing the sentiment for Bitcoin and the whole crypto market. People will be listening for hints about potential policy shifts. It's seen as a major trendsetter.
And in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we'll definitely go ahead and update you everything regarding all of these dates. And along with that, Satoshi, there's also going to be a FOMC announcement, isn't it? So these are definitely some of the key dates we should be looking at because they directly and indirectly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now the next use Satoshi we're going to be talking about is also connected to Iran, and roughly around 2 months ago Satoshi, there was a lot of rumors circulating that Iran, they are using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in order to bypass sanctions, and now we do have some really interesting update, and the news is that the US Department of Treasury, they have disrupted Iran's regime Straits of Hormuz extortion network, and they have sanctioned 2 Iranian firms, and they are accusing them of forcing ships to buy insurance to pass the Straits of Hormuz. And so far the payments regarding these are concerned Satoshi, the payments are allegedly helping fund the IRGC, and what I really urge our listeners to do is go to the US Department of Treasury website and look at the information yourself, and based on the information the insurance scheme reportedly accepts Bitcoin as well as other digital assets, and this is part of the efforts to bypass US sanctions. And that's not all Satoshi, the Treasury has also sanctioned 8 companies and 8 vessels that are accused of transporting Iranian oil and petrochemical products to Iran's shadow fleet. So this news is absolutely massive, isn't it? And the US officials guys have also said that these actions are part of the maximum pressure campaign to reduce Iran's oil revenues and limit funding for the IRGC. Now look Satoshi, this news is definitely pivotal, isn't it? But here's the thing Satoshi, am I right in saying using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is actually the dumbest idea because all of the transactions are publicly verifiable, isn't it? And it is only because of that the US Department of Treasury was in a position to go ahead and identify these transactions, right?
That's correct, George. The transparency of the blockchain makes it difficult to use it for bypassing sanctions covertly, as the Treasury Department's actions show. They successfully disrupted that network and sanctioned the firms by tracing the digital asset payments. It demonstrates that traditional enforcement tools can adapt to cover these newer financial technologies. The official data being available online allows for public review as well.
Now let's do one thing Satoshi, let's go and talk about a new innovative product, and this is called as Buzz. And what is really ironic guys is censorship king Jack Dorsey as well as his company called as Block, they have launched a new product called as Buzz. But here's the thing guys, this is a new open source, a completely decentralized group chat designed as an alternative to Slack. And based on the post by Satoshi, this new app called as Buzz does actually let team collaborate with both people and AI agents, and they can do that all in workplace for chat, project management, coding as well as planning. And regarding the app guys, it is built on Notion's protocol, and now it does reflect Jack Dorsey's new approach towards open source, isn't it? Now what is your take regarding this new platform called as Buzz Satoshi? Are you in favor of it, or do you think it is more of a nothing burger?
Regarding that new platform, George, some see it as a promising innovation with potential, while others believe it might not gain much traction due to competition or limitations. Its success really depends on how well it meets user needs and if it can provide a unique value. I am monitoring the developments.
It's going to be really interesting to see nonetheless, but here's the crazy thing Satoshi. Jack Dorsey at one point of time was censoring people, isn't it? And during the 2020 election, Satoshi, when he was responsible for Twitter, he did actually even cancel President Donald Trump, isn't it? And one of the users did actually ask Jack Dorsey, could a sitting president be banned from it? Definitely not a good look for Jack Dorsey, isn't it? But look, regarding this new protocol or development, it definitely looks promising. So let's wait and see what the future of this new protocol called as Buzz is. Now let's do one thing Satoshi, let's go and talk about some unfortunate news. And this is from a left-leaning administration. And the news is that Governor Hochul of New York as well as Attorney General Derrick James have announced that New York has sued Kalshi for running an illegal gambling operation, and the lawsuit alleges that Kalshi's prediction markets meet the legal definition of gambling because the outcomes of the events on which its users are betting are completely uncertain and outside the control of the bettor or hinge on a game of chance. And they also mentioned Satoshi, despite this, Kalshi has failed to obtain a license from the New York State Governing Commission, thereby sidestepping his obligation to pay taxes, something similar to licensed casinos, and something that mobile sports gambling platforms currently do. And here's the thing Satoshi, they also furthered in saying that dish tax revenue from gambling regulation funds public schools, sports program for undeserved youth, and problem gambling education and treatment. Now look Satoshi, it is important to note that this particular lawsuit adds to a growing clash between New York and the CFTC over whether federally regulated prediction markets are subject to state gambling laws. What is your take regarding it, Satoshi? Do you think the regulations for this does actually fall under CFTC, or does it actually fall under the state?
Well, George, that's exactly the central question at hand. Kalshi operates under CFTC oversight, but the New York lawsuit argues that its contracts are still gambling under state law. This clash could redefine regulatory boundaries for prediction markets. Typically, financial derivatives are federally regulated, but states often have control over gambling. It's a complex legal issue that could have broader implications. We'll have to see how the courts interpret it.
And am I right in saying, Satoshi, this is more of a left-leaning approach, isn't it? And historically, look, left-leaning ideologies and Democrats, they've been massive detractors of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And by the state of affairs in New York, particularly the city of New York, looks like they're heading towards socialism, isn't it? So am I right in saying that a socialist ideology are also not fans of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and they're focusing more on regulations, such as this case?
Historically, there have been instances where left-leaning ideologies express caution or focus on regulation regarding crypto, George. Many factors can contribute to this, including concerns about investor protection, financial stability, or environmental impacts. New York has developed a comprehensive regulatory framework, like the BitLicense, which some view as necessary for oversight, while others perceive it as burdensome. The approach tends to differ based on specific priorities.
Why don't you go and tell our listener, Satoshi, a socialist government will also be following a similar pursuit, isn't it? So am I right in saying that the approach taken by the governor of New York, as well as the Attorney General James, do they align more with capitalism, or do they align more with socialist ideologies?
Generally, governments that align more closely with socialist ideologies might favor stronger regulations and greater government intervention in the economy, which could extend to crypto. George? In New York, the actions could be seen as attempting to balance capitalist principles of market innovation with the need for consumer protection and legal compliance, which might incorporate some regulatory philosophies found in socialist thought.
Now, keeping this particular drama that is going on with Kalshi, Satoshi, why don't you tell our listeners some of the dangers of socialism? Because look, Kalshi is now, what happens to other cryptocurrencies that are offering a similar service?
All right, George. When you look at socialism's potential downsides for crypto, for one, really heavy regulation could stifle innovation or make it too difficult for new projects to start. You might see less development because the government controls more resources or restricts private ownership, and that could limit private investment. There could be an overreach into personal finances through reporting requirements or bans. The government might favor centralized solutions like CBDCs, making things like Bitcoin harder to use. You could have price controls implemented that disrupt market mechanisms. They could restrict mining based on ideological goals. And also, the legal framework could become unpredictable depending on what the state wants. Political instability could increase, affecting all markets. Finally, they might try to penalize crypto through taxes or restrictions to support their specific policies.
Now, on the opposite end, Satoshi, is capitalism, isn't it? Do you want to tell our listeners what is the approach of capitalism for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
In capitalism, crypto is often viewed as a prime example of free market innovation. George? The focus is on private ownership, minimal government regulation, and letting supply and demand determine value. It's seen generally as an opportunity for investment, competition between different projects, and potentially a decentralized alternative to state-controlled currencies, which some capitalists find appealing. It encourages entrepreneurship.
It definitely does, Satoshi. Thank you so much for that. So these were some macro-level newscasts on the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and look at two news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. The first one, guys, is connected to Dubai's RTA, that is Road Traffic Authority. And the news, guys, is that they have launched a new air-powered smart dashboard. And this is to improve bus operations across Dubai. And the system, guys, uses artificial intelligence and real-time data to manage bus services more efficiently. And the AI dashboard are currently installed at the Bus Operational Control Center. And look, guys, the project strengthens Dubai's position as a global leader in air-powered public transport. And regarding the system was developed by RTA's Public Transport Agency and its AI Center, and it runs on a platform called as RTA's Data IOQ, and it is used for smarter data-driven decision-making, and AI guys monitors bus performance in real time to spot issues before they actually happen, and the system analyzes buses that leave stops earlier than scheduled, and AI can now predict possible trip cancellations before they actually occur. And not only that, Satoshi, it also quickly deploys extra buses when metro services are disrupted, and the dashboard that they have actually helps optimize short-term bus operations to improve efficiency. And here's the thing, guys, early bus departures have been reduced by more than 68% because of this, and bus performance is now consistently meeting global standards. And it's needless to say, guys, faster bus deployment helps reduce delays, particularly during metro disruptions, isn't it? And automated alerts also improve customer services and passenger communications. And so far as artificial intelligence is concerned, guys, it definitely helps reduce unnecessary engine idling, lowering fuel consumption, and I can only envision positive elements because of the use of artificial intelligence, isn't it? And because of this new development, Satoshi, better bus parking management has cut more than 13,000 tons of carbon emissions. And RTA regarding this news has actually said that the project is another step towards making Dubai a smarter AI-powered city. Definitely interesting news, isn't it? What is your take regarding this news, Satoshi? I think it is definitely brilliant and great, isn't it?
I think this is an impressive move by the Transport Authority, George. Integrating AI for real-time data is a forward-thinking strategy. The dashboard at the control center likely makes operations more agile and responsive. Over time, this could raise the bar for public transport efficiency globally, maybe even how we manage traffic flow. I imagine that real-time alerts will seriously enhance passenger communications. But the potential drop in bus departures because of this is a major operational win. Using AI to prevent cancellations is a smart, proactive strategy. Ultimately, this could set a precedent for smart city integration elsewhere.
Now look, Satoshi, we're in the world of blockchain technology, isn't it? Do you want to tell our listeners, where does blockchain technology fit into this? And do you envision a way where probably blockchain technology could actually help RTA? If so, why don't you tell our listeners, where do you think blockchain technology actually fits into this?
Blockchain technology could really enhance some areas, George. For example, it could provide secure, tamper-proof records of bus maintenance and service history, or even manage passenger data privately but verifiably. Perhaps it could even facilitate more secure and transparent payment systems for riders, and that could build trust. These are possibilities.
Now look, Satoshi, I do think there are quite a lot of challenges with blockchain technology, and I think our listeners should truly understand what the blockchain trilemma problem is. But look, whatever you're saying does make a lot of sense in permission blockchain. But what about DAG, Satoshi? That is directed acyclic graph, which by the way has nothing to do with blockchain technology, isn't it? Do you think DAG would be a much better fit as opposed to, let's say, blockchain technology?
Directed acyclic graphs, or DAGs, offer some unique advantages, George, particularly in scalability and transaction speed, because they don't rely on adding blocks sequentially. Permission blockchains have their place for control, but DAGs could potentially handle high-volume micro-movements, like sensor data or rapid payments, more efficiently. It really depends on the specific use case requirement.
Now, before we go ahead and move to the next use, Satoshi, why don't you tell our listeners some of the top DAGs that are currently in place? I believe Hedera Hashgraph is one of them, isn't it? Why don't you tell our listeners some of the top protocols that are working on directed acyclic graph as opposed to blockchain technology?
You're right, George. Hedera Hashgraph is a good example of a DAG-based protocol. Other notable ones include IOTA, which focuses on the Internet of Things and uses its tangle structure. And sometimes projects like Nano are mentioned because of its block lattice architecture, which shares some characteristics. Phantom is another one with a strong presence. These are all competing to provide faster, more scalable solutions.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now let's go ahead and discuss the next use for today, Satoshi. And this is connected to Dubai Government Human Resource Department, also called as DGHR. And the news cast is that they have launched Government Chief Technology Office program. And the program cast prepares government HR leaders for the era of artificial intelligence. And it aims to help leaders drive workforce transformation across government. And the first group includes 30 participants from 21 government entities. And the program cast encourages collaboration across different government departments. And it helps the HR team become strategic partners in decision making. And the focus is on building agile, skill-based data-driven workplaces. And it promotes the responsible use of AI and talent management. And the program supports Dubai's D33 economic agenda. And it also complements Dubai Government Human Resource Department's HR Department Empowerment Project. And the executive program runs for 8 months. And participants complete 150 hours of executive learning and training. And each participant, will be working on a real project to solve a challenge in the organization. And the training includes executive coaching, workshops, mentoring and innovation labs. And participants will learn from 20 plus local as well as international experts. And the program also includes an international learning journey to go and explore global best practices. And it develops skills in workforce planning, data analytics and AI-powered decision making. And the program ends with participants presenting the projects to help build a smarter, future-ready Dubai government. This is another excellent news from the Emirate of Dubai, Sinead Satoshi. What is your take regarding this particular news?
I think this is an impressive initiative, George. Preparing HR leaders for the AI era shows great foresight. Focusing on driving workforce transformation across government entities is a key objective. It's good to see such a diverse group from 21 government entities participating. Encouraging collaboration among different departments should break down silos. Helping HR teams become strategic partners is a crucial shift. Promoting the responsible use of AI and talent management is very important. Supporting Dubai's D33 strategy through this is a significant contribution. Also, the 8-month program provides enough time for deep learning. Finally, requiring participants to work on real projects ensures a practical impact. Do you think that sounds like a solid plan?
It definitely sounds like a solid plan, and what better city to do that than the city of Dubai? Definitely brilliant news in my honest opinion. So these were some macro level newscasts on the Bitcoin blockchain, cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence world from blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, where listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, alright?
Sure, George. Let's go ahead and kickstart the Ask Me Anything series. I'm curious to check what questions listeners have in store for us.
Hey everyone, it's Josh on the Blockchain DXB podcast. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And we have a question by Madalena who asks, does the new project by Jack Dorsey called as Buzz require a Nostr account? And can you briefly explain to our listeners what Nostr account is? This, to be honest, is such an interesting question, isn't it, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what Nostr account is, and also go ahead and tell our listeners how do users actually benefit by a Nostr account, and then let's go ahead and connect if Buzz uses Nostr account or not.
That's a great question, Madalena. Nostr stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted Relays. It's essentially a simple, decentralized protocol for creating private and censorship-resistant social networks. Unlike platforms like Slack, where your data is stored by one company, Nostr relays are run by different people, meaning no single entity controls it. Users benefit by having full control over their identity and content, and it's very hard to be censored. And yes, Buzz is built on the Nostr protocol, so you'll definitely need one to use it. George, do you want to add anything about Buzz's features?
I do think, Satoshi, news such as this definitely sounds positive, but there are dangers associated with it as well, isn't it? And earlier on, we talked about RGC, where because of a so-called distributed or decentralized protocol, they were trying to evade sanctions. So am I right in saying using Nostr account, and because there's no centralized entity, harmful or illegal content can also be not removed? And what about fake profiles? There can be so many fake profiles as well, isn't it? And along with that, am I right in saying we'll also be seeing a lot of room for spams as well as scams because of this? So look, this news definitely sounds great, and I'm definitely in favor of such initiative. But when you talk about Nostr accounts, a lot of the times they're not intended for the reason why it is created, isn't it? And I'm pretty much sure right now RGC, because they're being sanctioned by the US Department of Treasury, the first protocol they'll be looking at is something similar to Buzz, isn't it? And earlier on today, we also talked about Jack Dorsey, Satoshi. Ironically enough, under his leadership, Twitter is actually banning people from the right side, isn't it? So it is a bit ironic that he's coming up with a so-called decentralized distributed platform. That is what my honest take is regarding this, Satoshi.
You make some really valid points, George. The decentralized nature is a benefit, but it absolutely introduces risks like uncontrolled content, fake profiles, and potential scams, similar to how the RGC tried to evade sanctions. And yes, the irony of Jack Dorsey's history with censorship versus Nostr's ideals is quite striking. It highlights the ongoing tension between platform responsibility and true free speech. Thanks for bringing that perspective into the discussion.
The other thing I wanted to touch base is, Satoshi, look, when you talk about Nostr account and potentially Buzz, am I right in saying that your identity is essentially tied to your cryptographic key? So rotating to a new identity could actually mean that you're completely losing your social graph, isn't it? Unless, let's say, your followers follow you once again.
You're absolutely right, George. Your identity on Nostr is fundamentally tied to your private cryptographic key. If you change that key, you do essentially lose your follower connections, unless everyone manually finds you again. It's a key difference from centralized platforms where the service manages that for you, and it does put more responsibility on the user for maintaining their presence. So, Madalena, as you can see, while it offers privacy and freedom, it comes with some considerations about identity management, as George pointed out.
And am I right in saying, Satoshi, the moment you've lost your key, you have lost complete access to Buzz as well?
Yes, that's correct. Without your private key, you can no longer log into your Nostr account, and therefore, you lose access to your Buzz profile and all your data there. Keeping that key secure is crucial.
But definitely great question, Madalena, and we'll check how this protocol develops. Definitely interesting project nonetheless. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, Please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays, we have Blockchain DXB podcast. We look at the process, we look at the latest technological development. Then, guys, you look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. We also talk about geopolitics, because politics and politicians, they directly and indirectly impact the process of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it? Then, guys, you look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. We look at the latest technological development. Artificial intelligence is definitely a hot topic in the Middle East right now. And what you're listening to right now, guys, is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.